Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross here, as we are every Tuesday. Thank you for taking some time to join us as we get into the bulk of the season now, and things are getting crazier for us. We'll talk a bit about our crazy weekend, the first of many to come this summer. But how you doing today?
Good, man. I'm real good. As tiring as the weekend was, it was energizing to get back on the road. And Clint, like you say, we'll talk about it later. But to perform, we weren't even performing for the crowd that was there. But if you didn't feel the energy from a jam-packed grandstand, um, you're in the wrong sport.
No, I think the track was awesome, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We've got a lot of things to get through tonight. We're going to have a few guests join us throughout the evening as well. Um, we might as well tell you right now, we are pre-taping this the night before, so this was taped last night for you. On Monday, our producer Spencer is away on business, and we didn't want to miss the week, so let's get that out the way. We do have some topical guests, Adam, about some stuff that happened on the weekend. Terry Vince revised the Humberstone schedule. We expect him to join us here shortly. There was a bit of, depending on where you want to say it, drama, let's call it, keeps it down the middle of the road from the NASCAR Pinty Series race during the break at the halfway, and we'll talk to some of the players in that. We're also going to talk to a first-time winner on a new feature that you suggest this week, and feels like the first time. We'll talk to a new winner each week, someone who picked up their first ever checkered flag, and try and show you some of the other stories of the up-and-comers who are trying to get it done. We'll also preview the APC race coming up for us with the Quick Superstock Saturday, our first G-Force visit back to Peterborough, so we're excited to see that, and we'll also round up our weekend. So, no quick wit trivia because we're not live tonight. But we are going to talk about the Quick Legends series. Have a bunch of stuff going on, and I'm going to get some more information on that as we get into the show a bit more. They're called the Great Lakes Legends, and they have an upcoming race at Grand Bend. Lake Outhouse has sent me some pictures of their first event. Frank just sent me a message on today, and he said to me, "Hey, we had our first great race with the Quick Legend Series on Saturday night at Grand Bend. We had 12 cars, 11 started. Need your help to give us a plug whenever you can. So make sure you check that out. Look it up on Facebook. It's the Quick Legend Series. And we got to get in those cars, Adam. I think you and I have to find a way to get in a Legend car. Could you fit in a Legend car?
I'm going to need two, please.
You know, wear them like roller skates. That would
I
be
think
awesome.
I think I probably maybe could. I don't know.
Now,
I
I
don't
just
fit
got
in
these
anything.
photos, so I'm going to send them to Spencer now so you can check them out. But yeah, how tall are you, Adam? Like 6'4"? Good luck trying to fit
Sick.
in these cars.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I thought that it's Spencer's good. He'll get these up. So we just sent them to you, Spenny. But yeah, another kind of a deal. They're going to be doing it at a few of these tracks, and I think some of the executives will get a chance to get in. And it's a good concept. So good luck to Frank and everybody. Quick, and they're really trying to get that one up and running. And Spencer throwing up when you get it. Even if we move on, we'll still jump back. Don't forget. There we go. Great looking deal. So they got a bunch of these cars at them, painted all the same, and they're letting guys take them out and have some fun with them. And I bet Frank and Dave would love to see me and you in one. We'll see what happens.
Possibly. And I mean, this sort of thing is happening across the country. The RS1 series on the West Coast is kind of a pay to play thing, but it's cars that are all prepared out of the same shop. So it's a neat concept because the older we get, as every year goes on, evolution isn't always a good thing. You know what I mean? It's not always like there was a time when you'd spend countless hours in a shop and you'd try to outsmart the competition. Things have gone away from that a little bit. Racing is still awesome, but it's left that. And now we're one step further where people have the money but not the time to invest. So you get involved with something like this and it keeps the sport fresh. But I think you constantly have to be looking for the next thing because Clinton, things are going to change more drastically over the next year and a half than they have at any time over the last 20 years. We're going to talk to Terry Vince. Some of this is, and as I say, it's not that it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing. People are going to have to adapt. Racetracks are going to have to adapt series, and we'll see what comes out the other side.
Spencer, can you put up the photo that was sent about the canceled series? It was the Terry just messaged me back. He's not home yet, so he'll jump on when he can get there. The canceled series for the 358 modifieds, yes. So this was a new series, Adam, and this is one thing that we were trying to get up and running, and not we. I mean, as Oshweek, we were a partner in the deal in the fact that we would say we would host a race on July 1st. We was Humberstone and Oshweek have agreed we will still be hosting the race. We won't be paying the series purse because it's very expensive for the tracks. It won't be $4,000 to win, but we will both have 358 races on those nights, and we'll work on having a decent purse. But series wise, they've canceled the series, Adam. And here's the note that came out today from the media release, and that's the French one. It says Cornwall, Monday, June 13th. After several discussions with teams and promoters involved, it was decided to postpone the series that included 9 events to push it off to 2023. The uncertainty with the tire shortage for the upcoming months, along with the gas prices that are continuing to rise at a record pace, was the main part for the promoters to postpone until next year. The interest from race teams in following the whole series had also declined significantly in the last few weeks, mainly due to the gas prices. Promoters from all 9 tracks will reconvene early fall 2022 to build a schedule that will be solid without any conflicting dates to maximize participation by all teams. Apologize to everyone who had interest in the series, and I'm looking forward to 2023. So that's the first one that's fallen, Adam. There's an issue with tires, and it's just gas price is a long thing. The risk of towing all that way to get rained out is not a risk these guys
Yeah,
want to take anymore.
I'll tell you my opinion on that, Clint. You'd never get a second chance to make a first impression. I think it was a wise choice to postpone to next year because you make promises that East is going to visit West and West is going to visit East, and then you host an event that doesn't live up to the expectations. You will spend years trying to recover from that. As much I don't want races to get canceled. I love going to the races, but I think it was a wise decision. I think it was something that needed to happen, and I think Spencer's going to regret that he hasn't started the clock for us, Clint.
That's a
I
good one.
liked I like just sliding these things in a little bit because just when he thinks he's outwitted us, he hasn't.
Did you see how quickly he took 5 minutes off the clock
Yeah,
and started it there
I,
on the left side
I
to keep us on track?
I
You
did
shouldn't
see
have
that,
pointed it out,
but
but he figured it
But
out.
going back to the series, as disappointing as it is, it would be more disappointing to pay that purse for the racetrack to lose money and then charge fans good money to come out and think, boy, there's not many more cars here than there was, last time I was at this track. This is not what I expected.
No, you're not wrong. When you look at how it's going to shake out around here, like I said, Humberstone will still have their race on Thursday, the June 30th, and that will be live on GeForce TV. First of our triple header weekend that weekend. We will be live at Humberstone for the first race of the Knights of Thunder 360 series, along with 358 Modifieds, the Action Sprint Tour, and one other class. I believe it's either, I got to look quickly, it's either mini stock or street stock because we have the other one at our place, and I should know this. I'll figure it out in 1 second. Here's my schedule. So we have um, no, we have no Thunder stock or mini stock at our place. So he's got one of the sport class at our weekend. It's going to be the 3 classes, which I think that's something you'll like, Adam. It's going to be the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, Action Sprint Tour, and 358 Modifieds on July 1st at Osh Weekend. The second day of the doubleheader, and then we go off to Delaware for the APC series on the Saturday. So I'm super pumped for Canada Day weekend.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a great 2 days with the Modifieds, crates, and 360s on G-Force live. So if you can't make any of those dates, make sure you tune in for those. But
So
go ahead.
why don't we jump ahead and talk about Chaudière? Since our guests aren't here yet, that's something we can focus on and share some thoughts on, Clint.
Yeah, we had an interesting weekend. Throw some of the travel picks up if you can, Spence. Our day started out, well, maybe we should talk about our weekend before we jump into Chaudière. You think?
Sure,
All
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up Bush Weekend because that's chronological order, and then we kind of tell our story of the weekend. So we were all GeForce Live Osh Weekend, obviously for Friday night. Ken Schrader's in town, 358 Modifieds. Throw the sizzle reel up if you can, Spencer. What'd you think of the night, Adam? I thought the modified counts were pretty much, we knew what we were getting,
Yep.
on both the modified classes. I thought the racing was fantastic, even with the limited car counts. And we still had about 14, 15 cars in each class. I thought the racing was really good.
The racing was phenomenal, Clinton, and I'm not going to lie. I was a little flat going into the night because opening night had been such a great event with so many cars. And then leaving the two sprint car classes for two modified classes with smaller car counts, I was just sort of like, man, I hope this works out. I hope we get a show. We got a hell of a show. Really good racing. Again, the crowd showed up. It was a solid crowd for a Friday night in early June.
Yeah, I thought I had the same concerns. Did we make a mistake? I think in hindsight, from the promoter side, we probably should have kept the crate sprints on the card and dealt with the fifth division. Although I know guys like you and Glenn are against that. That was my initial thoughts. At the end, the show came off great. Was I disappointed in the modified? Should I thought we had a couple more guys, and I think a couple more of the local guys probably should have come out because those are the guys who are going to complain when those races go away eventually, and that's my concern. But then I have to look at guys like Tyler Willard, who told me the week before at Humberstone, and he also reiterated in Victory Lane there. He told me he had a small block car, he had a small block motor, but no car for it. They swapped all week to put that small block in to come out and support the show to be ready for us. And I thought that was really cool of him to do it. And he was rewarded with a second place finish. I thought Gary Lindbergh had Matt Williamson covered. And everybody said, even a lot of the teams complained about the person, said it's too top heavy. We're all just racing for second. So I actually bumped second up to figure, okay, it was a big drop. And Gary Lindbergh almost stole the show till he had a broken drive shaft. Then Matt went in and won the race. But I was happy because last few times the modified had been there, the track had been treacherous. That hole in turn one beat the hell out of these modified cars and sportsmen the last 4 or 5 times they've been up there. So I was happy to see the track came out really good for them. Great racing. The whole thing was awesome. You can watch it on GeForce if you want to go back.
And
But
that a phenomenal mini stock feature. And
oh,
good racing in the Thunder cars. I mean, all four divisions had good racing.
we still have some we have some things to work on. I all our garbage cans were overstacked. Glenn, I drive around the other night. He was just like, I guess we need some more garbage cans. So we're gonna continue to improve. We're still a bit rusty in some of these departments at the Speedway, but like you said, a great crowd coming out. We're glad everybody's spending the time with us. We heard nothing but rave reviews about the show, so we appreciate everybody coming out to race with us too, and we're going to continue to do that. Spencer, if you can, roll the promo for this week, and that'll put the cap on Osh Weekend, and we'll talk about our trip to Quebec. This Friday, June 17th, at Oshweekend Speedway. The sprint cars roar back into town as Case IH and O'Neill's Farm Equipment present a full card of Friday night excitement. After a week off, the Cool Kids Core Pack 360s and the Strickland Chevrolet Crate Sprints are joined by the HRW Automotive Mini Stocks and the Middleport Mechanical Thunder Stocks. And for the first time in over 10 years, it's spectator one-on-one races at intermission. It's fans versus fans in their own street cars for $500. Adult admission is $20. Students and seniors $15, and kids 12 and under are free. Friday nights were made for speed at Oshweekend Speedway. Come out and join us this Friday. Adam, spectator one-on-one races. We haven't done that. All the other tracks do it. We haven't done that in a long time at Oshweekend, so I'm excited to see who comes out. I just want to make a few notes. It has to be a real street car. Cannot be any type of race vehicle. No race tires. Got to be what you would drive on the street. And we'll be happy to throw you out. So if you bring something that doesn't fit the spirit of the competition, we don't owe you nothing. So play smart. Don't whine if you get booted. Make sense?
Well said.
We need someone to bring like a Camaro. Like, you think I could get Glenn to drive one of his Corvettes around there?
I'd be shocked if he didn't.
I don't know. They're pretty low, man. I don't. You suggest it, because then when he tears the nose off, it was your problem.
Nope.
So we left Oshweekend. I mean, you took off, went to the hotel. I got out there a little bit later than you after cleaning up. Got there about like 2:30 after grabbing some Taco Bell. We grabbed about 2.5 hours sleep and then had to head back to the airport. And you want to take it from there? Made it through security, and then our day got sideways.
Yeah, just after we got in, we discover our flight's been canceled. So
Roll some picks, Spence.
Dave Bradley leaps into action while Clint and I are looking terribly concerned, sitting there in the food court.
Yeah, you look terribly concerned in that picture.
Yeah, I don't know. I must have been crushing candies. Uh, so in a few different plans, we were either going to fly to Montreal, rent a car, and drive to Quebec City, or fly to Montreal, get another flight, fly to Quebec City, and that's what we wound up doing. So it did work out. But the coolest thing of the day, in my opinion, was getting to the racetrack. And as we were driving towards the track, Joel Robinson, our producer, said, "Look, there's police at the highway because nobody is getting in. The place is absolutely jammed. They've gone to overflow parking only across the highway, but come up and find the cops. They're going to let you in. They know that you're coming." So it's the closest thing I've ever had to a police escort, I'd say, Clinton. And go down the driveway into the facility. And as we say, do we have. Did I send the picture Dave Bradley took from turn three? It
I,
showed the cars on the front stretch and the crowd behind them. And this is a big Chaudière has a big grandstand. So
it's
it's like a
steep and
Schweik and Flamborough,
awesome.
tough place to fill, and they freaking filled it. Um, and they don't live in a communist society in Quebec, so they can buy beer and take it wherever they want in the grandstands. You don't have to be inside the little
There
velvet
it is.
ropes. But yeah, that's the shot. That's a big grandstand. That is a full grandstand, and that is a well lubricated grandstand.
I couldn't believe the number of men. I saw a couple women too, but mostly men walking around with 18 packs of Bud, just right out the box, just right out the case. So they're selling full boxes of beer at the concession stand. A place some of my race fan buddies would
It,
fall in love with very quickly.
I mean, some downfalls. Like how many fistfights did we see, Clinton?
I didn't see any. Did you?
Zero, none. Grown-ups can
Hogtops?
have fun.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I'm
did
saying.
see the
Like
toilets overflowing though, but that's a good problem to have as
yeah,
a
but you know,
promoter. You know.
but yeah, it's just such a. And I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed it over the last number of years, being able to travel around. And it won't be the same everywhere we go. I bet Edmonton will have a big crowd. Saskatoon has a very polite crowd. It's a midweek show, a little bit different, but just the energy that you feel and the welcome that you get because they're just so excited that a big show comes to town. And they were greeted by a fantastic race.
Uh, what a show it was. You and I had a lot of fun calling the action. As you mentioned, we weren't calling to the crowd, we were calling to the live stream viewing audience at home. So that was kind of neat. Normally we get some reactions from the crowd with the things we say. So not hearing any reaction, just playing to the ghosts was a fun. But I thought the race was interesting. The place is a gorgeous place to watch a race from. I don't know. Do we have any clips of it, Spencer? If we have anything, go ahead and roll it. It was just a
It's a
great
unique
great deal.
layout. Yeah. No matter where you sit, you can see everything. And how about the French announcer, Eric Gaudreau Drapeau? Uh, a ball of energy and a big booming voice, and just there's a lot of good announcers out there.
Yeah, like you and I'm a probably a loud announcer. I'd be like a 7.5, 8 around here. He was like a 14. It's
Yeah.
like just
Oh yeah.
the volume into the
On it.
microphone. I was like, wow,
And so
pretty wild.
gracious, very welcoming to us. Like, hey, so cool that you're here. Nice to see you. You know, we both did our own thing in different rooms, but
Yeah,
enjoyed the
so
heck out of it.
we started at 5 a.m. and got there at 3:30, which was crazy. A long day there. Then we had to call the race. We got back to the hotel. I think it was 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
Um, and
and I
then
was
do you?
done.
Okay, so I here's how I know you guys were tired. You and a couple of the other guys who would never ever skip a meal. There was a big classy restaurant, sports bar right there. Like I'm talking expensive entrees and free drinks.
Right across the parking lot,
It was,
like 50
yeah. If it
feet
was
from
ten
our
minutes,
rooms.
I'm with you. If it was 10-minute drive, I would be like, I'm out. I couldn't handle anymore. Um, but I'm like, I have to eat. So we went over there, and we got it all rolling, and I had a great meal. But when you guys, who never pass up a hot dog, passed up the meal, I knew you guys were tired. And my advice to you though, next time, take the half hour to 45 minutes, eat the food. You would have been happier in the morning before you had to fly back.
No, I've
But But should we talk about mine and Bradley's adventure? So I actually got sick on the first flight. I get motion sick.
Let's tell people how Clint earned the name Yakety Yak.
Yeah. Was that what Saturday was? Okay, so I get it. You said that right before we went on the air, and I
No,
didn't think
Dave. Yeah, Dave was
I
all
didn't
because
catch it.
Dave is not usually the creator of wit. Like he can kind of run with a joke, but it usually so
I
when it
felt
comes
so
from him,
bad.
it's like a little kid with a big old smile. But Clint overflowed a little bit, and it got on Dave Bradley.
The first of two flights, and the first we were almost on the ground, just we're landing, and I couldn't hold it in, and I did get some on Dave's pants, and I felt bad all weekend about it. He was in the splash zone, and he didn't want to sit near me for the rest of the weekend. I noticed at dinner he sat way at the other end of the table, and I was embarrassed all to hell. I said, "Well, I guess we're bonding brothers now. I barfed on you, so we're good to go."
Back in
But
the
and then
day, go ahead.
I was just saying, but then you have to. So as soon as I recover from getting sick, we have to get on another plane and do it all over again, which was twice the turbulence. But somehow I kept it
That was a
together.
wicked landing. So Dave has felt the bodily fluids of both race rivals because 15 years ago or so, he and I worked together. We really didn't know each other that well, but at Kawartha, we worked together. And you've got to stand really close. And for some reason, Clint, I don't know what was going on, but I just couldn't keep my spit in my mouth. So we're sharing a microphone. And I felt so, he should have stormed off. He should have just left, but he's a consummate professional. So we have both doused Dave Bradley, unfortunately. Spencer, I don't know if you've got the name up on the screen, but take out the P and we're good to go.
Yeah. So, um,
Let's
Dave,
talk to
I
him. Let's
apologize.
Yeah, we'll talk about that throughout the year and get over it. But I want to bring in Cam Thompson. He's getting two race cars ready because he runs Friday on the dirt, he runs Saturday on the pavement, and but before that, Clinton, he was one of the top up and coming flagmen in the business. So is that where we want to start, or do we want to start with his big win? Welcome to the show, Cam.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Yeah, so Cammy's been around this deal. I met Cam probably 4 or 5 years ago when he was our micro sprint flagger. Then he got moved up to turn four Ush weekend. Then he was flagging for the action sprint tour and some of the Knights of Thunder stuff. Then he did some work all over the place. Most recently, TQ midgets, I think. So,
Yeah,
Cammy, you know, did you do that because it was a way to get into the sport until you could become a driver? Because I always wanted to be a driver too, and I realized I couldn't afford it, so I ended up on the announcing side because at least it would get me in the door and be a part of the deal. But then I realized I like my money, so I'd rather stay on this side. But tell us your story.
honestly, yeah, that's the way it went. I needed something to do. I got bored just sitting in the grandstands watching, so might as well bring a set of flags and see where you can go with it. So that led up to some pretty big things, and now I can't believe what it's came to. Winning a race last weekend, that was awesome. Let alone it being a pure stock, it's a race. There's
Yeah,
so much competition out there.
racing is racing. Now, to talk about racing lineage, Clinton, Cam was born into it. His father is Don Thompson Sr. Um, so his brother is Don Thompson Jr., Canadian Motorsport Hall of Famer. Dennis Thompson. I mean, like racing is in the blood, that is for sure. But again, to take a roundabout approach, and Cameron, do you prefer Cam or Cameron?
Cameron, whatever
Uh,
works.
all right, Cam. A lot of people would start racing and focus on something, right? Okay, I'm going to run a pure stock. That's what I'm going to do. Not you.
Yep.
You've got a Thunder car that you race on Friday nights, a pure stock that you race on Saturdays, and I was so impressed with your driving Friday night. Like, it didn't even get shown on camera. I forget who you were on the outside of coming off of turn number 4, but you had your foot to the floor. They squeezed you up to the wall, and you didn't lift. You just went up to
Yeah.
the wall. I don't know if you touched it or not, but you just hung on and sailed on by them in turn 1.
Honestly, it's iRacing. It feels like I know what I'm doing already, just from making so many laps on the site. Most people call it a video game, but it is a simulator. Like it taught me everything I know.
That's pretty awesome, Cam. That next generation, You guys are really starting to use this tool. The older guys, they don't get it. Sometimes it's hard to relate, but you guys have really put this to work. Cam, which one do you like better, the pure stock or racing on the dirt? I know you've done a lot more of the pure stock stuff so far because you just got your dirt car out, but which one are you enjoying the most?
I gotta say, street stock. It has so much more power and it's so much more fun ripping the tops out of a Schwingen.
You've thrown a lot of checkered flags, Cam. I want you to be honest here. When you cross the checkered flag first, when you cross that finish line, was it what you expected it would be? Talk about your emotions.
It really was, yeah. There was just too many emotions at that point. It almost went by too quickly that I thought would stay there for almost an hour. But just everybody thanking me and congratulating me coming out of the car, that was probably the best part about it.
What's next, Cam? You know, you got another doubleheader weekend coming up, we assume?
Yep. Friday we'll be at Oshwegan in the street stock, going for duel on the dirt, and Saturday we'll be at Flamborough driving the pure stock.
Awesome. And Cam, where can people find you? I know you want to get back to working on your race cars, but we did want to take some time and single you out this week for a great accomplishment. But tell people where they can follow you.
That's all right. You guys can find me on Facebook at Cameron Thompson Racing, Instagram, same thing, Cameron Thompson Racing, and TikTok, same thing. Thank you both for having me out here, brother. It's an honor to be on the show.
Thanks
Cam,
for
I got
taking
one
the
more
time.
for you.
Yeah, go.
Before we let you go, you know, so what's the plan with your flagging career? You know, your name came up in my circle many times over the last few years. Most recently, when Kyle McKenzie couldn't work the last Friday, we got Dave Hunsinger. And, you know, we're working on Carter Long. He's got to spend a bit more time paying the dues before we can put him up in the big stand, but he's close. But, you know, let's talk about that. Are we going to see you twirling the flags anymore? Are you done with that? Is it special notice?
It's kind of just special events now. If I'm needed and I'm not racing, I can go and do it. But I just kind of want to focus on racing for the next year, see where that goes. If it goes good, then keep it up. If not, maybe go back to just waving the flags. It's much cheaper.
Right on. Folks, watch for the black number 28, Flamborough Speedway, Oshwegan Speedway. Cameron Thompson, he's paid his dues. He's worked on both sides of the fence, and he's reaped some rewards with a victory on Saturday night at Flamborough.
Thank you for having me out here.
Right on,
Have
Cam.
a great
Talk
night,
to you
Cam.
soon. Cam Thompson. So he'd be like a second generation driver from that family, I guess, Alan?
Third.
All right.
Oh, you're right. Second gen. His dad is old enough to be his grandfather, but
Yeah.
he's not. It's his dad, Don Thompson Sr. Cam has to be 25 years younger than Donnie or Dennis.
At least, I would say.
Yeah, not even sure. Good kid though. I mean, he's been around, and he wasn't just a flagger. He was a great flagger. I mean, really good twirling the sticks. But I'm thrilled for him. It's where his heart is, and I meant what I said. He did. When you're a rookie and you will squeeze your car between the wall and another car and just keep your foot in it, I'm like, man, oh man, this kid's gonna be all right, I think.
Well, you heard him. It doesn't hurt when you crash on iRacing. So he's fearless still. Let's bring in our next guest.
Yep.
No, you can finish your thought.
To that point, the new walls at Oshwegan, they will allow you to rub up. Right? The old style walls, the cinder blocks, you wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't want to run the front stretch rubbing it because some of them jutted out a little bit and they'd catch the car. With a smooth concrete wall in a fendered car, you can almost lean on it and just give her.
Yeah, as long as the angle is not too obtuse, you'll be all right. Joe Chisholm Jr. will join us now, spotter for race winner at Chaudier, Andrew Ranger, and a big part of what's gone on there with everything going to get this team up and running. They've been very quick, and we also know him as a spotter on the APC series with Josh Stoddy as well. So welcome to the show, Joe. And he also has a show with his dad on Sirius and, you know, Race Time Radio. So welcome to the show, Joe.
Yeah, he's been around.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. It's fun. I love the show. I tune in every single week. You guys always have lots of great stuff to talk about. It's nice to be on here.
Well, as you know, Joe, we're here to throw you firmly under the bus.
Absolutely.
No, I'm joking. I'll tell you what, it was an exciting race on Saturday. I'm going to tell the story in backwards order because after things went down and you guys got in some trouble, you spent about 10 minutes straight looking right up at the officials booth. But it looked to me and Clint as though you were looking at us and you wanted to kill us. Like
He was looking at us.
I
He
don't
knew
know
who
who
was
he
behind the
was.
glass.
So I did watch the broadcast back, and I do we're gonna kick everything off here with saying I'm sorry to you. I wasn't mad at you guys at all. You guys did a great job. The windows there. If you stand, I'm a short guy, so if you stand there from my height, all the windows just had the glare of the sky in them. So I knew Sharpie and the race director team were behind one of those windows. So I tried to carry my eyes to each one of them to convey my displeasure. But by the sounds of it, I spent a lot of time looking in your window, and I apologize to that first and foremost.
I shrugged it right off because he's looking at us, man. Like I don't think so. But let's set the table, Clint. I'm going to set the table, Clint. I'll let you run and ask the question. So this race was 250 laps. There is a midway break, and let's make it clear it's not a stage break. A stage happens at the end of a given lap.
Yep.
A midway break happens around when the race director wants to throw the yellow, sometime around the midway point of a race. There happened to be a debris caution on lap 124, so one lap shy of the midway break. So the yellow comes out, the field is circulating behind the pace car. The field gets sorted out. Marc-Antoine Camerand is leading the race. Andrew Ranger, who is Joe Chisholm's driver, is running second. To leave the track to go to the pits, you exit in turn 3, between 3 and 4. So the field comes around, the pace car stays on the track. Marc-Antoine Camerand turns into the pits. Everybody else on the track, Andrew Ranger almost pulled into the pits, but he came back on the track. So did the rest of the field, took another lap. The next time in 3 and 4, everyone goes in the pits except Andrew Ranger. Andrew Ranger, who was the first car behind the pace car, stayed behind the pace car. So now he's the only car on the track, goes around one more time, then he goes into the pit. So if I painted the picture, Cameron goes into the pits alone, the whole field goes into the pits, and then the next lap, Andrew Ranger goes into the pits alone during the halftime break. They conduct the halftime break, and when they come back out, they announce Camerand and Ranger are going to the back of the pack for penalties. Clint, we don't even know, or I don't know, maybe you do, what the penalties specifically were called. Clint, do you know what they were called?
No.
So they said it on the two-way, what the penalties were.
But Joe, before you get to there, let's talk the chronological order. Adam, you and I are standing in the booth, and Joe, you're still waiting to figure out what's going on. You obviously know something's up, right? I mean, until they tell it, you can tell things are out of order. One car stopped when it, went in the pits when nobody else went, which was odd, even if you didn't realize. Yeah, and
Yes.
even if you didn't know pit road was closed, as a fan, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, that he went in, and the pace car went, and the rest something's off, right? Even if you didn't realize the flag was closed. So we know that the break is going on. We know there's going to be something happening. So even Adam and I, we are speculating that, well, Cameron went in, didn't follow the pace car. And so even me, kind of uneducated about the specific rules about the series, I'm thinking, well, the pace car didn't go in and he went in on his own. That's going to be some kind of penalty. We also seen your driver Ranger stay out one extra lap. So we're thinking something's weird about that. So then the penalties come out. What did they tell you?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what the penalties were, and then we can kind of recap how the whole deal transpired. The penalties were for Marc-Antoine for exit or entering a closed pit road. So anytime you enter a closed pit road, automatically you're going to the tail end of the longest line. So for the 27, the penalty was the penalty for the 27 was a not listening to NASCAR's ruling and for passing the pace car. So we passed the pace car to get into the pit area. So that was the rule for the 27. How the whole deal transpired was when the initial yellow flag came out, it was for debris, like you mentioned. There was debris all over the racetrack on the exit of turn 4, I guess, and strewn kind of down the front straightaway. At no mention did race control mention that this is the break. Now, we're all smart enough. We know where halfway is. We know that, 125 is halfway. And we know that it is always deemed the halfway break, right? Quote unquote. So in this case, the biggest thing is that there's never been a firm rule on when that yellow flag comes out, right? If we went to lap 126 and they were racing or 127, they can make that call wherever that falls. That being said, they still never mentioned I'll retain this until the day that I die. There was never a mention of a break on race control. And so for me, watching Marc-Antoine leave the pit area or leave to the pit area, I was the one that was on the radio saying, don't follow him. Do not follow him. Stay out. And Ranger stopped on the racetrack because he was, trying to, pick which way he was going to go. And, I was adamant, like, stay on the racetrack. So the 96 leaves, we do one more lap and we come down the back straightaway. And I'm waiting for them to say, okay, this is the break, something, right? And they just said pit road is open this time. And so we're getting up to the commitment line. And I'm like, is it the break? Is this for sure the break? Or are we going to enter just an open pit road? Because if we enter an open pit road and this is not the break, we're going to the tail anyways. So I keyed up. I said, is this for sure the break? And Caden said, I don't know. And I looked down the line and every spotter was turned around, looked at Ken, like, is this the break? And so we drove past following the pace car. I said, do not enter. Like, I'm the one that made that call. And we drove past the entrance. The 17 just, obviously anticipated that this is the break. And, everybody followed, one after another. It wasn't until the 5th or 6th car, kind of entered the pit area until they started talking about the brake procedure. And I'm like, okay, well, this is the break, guys. Like, but they didn't mention from the time of the yellow flag to the time where we're down near the flag stand following the pace car that this is for sure the break. The only correspondence we got was the pit road was open leading up to the point of making the decision to come down pit road. So
this makes sense to me now, Joe. This makes sense. So Cameron goes into a closed pit. That's an easy call to make. It's an obvious call. If the red flag is out, you can't go in the pits. The pace car never does go into the pits, does it, during the break? The pace car keeps rolling on the track and then comes to a stop halfway around the racetrack.
Correct. Yep.
So, Clint, picture this. Ranger stays on the track because Joe tells him to, and Joe told us why. Everyone else goes in the pit. So now Andrew is following the pace car. The pace car stops.
Yep.
Andrew's got to go get tires. He has to put tires on if he has any hope of winning. So, okay, that makes sense. Where Andrew's penalty comes is he drove around the pace car, which you can't do, but it's the only way he could have got to the pits, makes his lap and goes to the pit. So Joe, our conversation in the tower and when I say in the tower, Clint and I just bouncing off each other saying, well, geez, it's got to be a penalty. You can't just let that slide because rules are rules. And like NASCAR is going to have to figure out something. So in my mind, I don't think NASCAR was wrong to issue the penalties they issued. But I will side with you and say they were probably remiss in how they communicated the situation to Ken, who is the spotters official, and on the one-way radio. So it's kind of a screwy situation.
And I think that this would have been all moot had the 96 not left the racetrack. they would have said at the line, okay, this is the break. And they would have had a normal scripted thing that they're going to say, this is the official break. And they would have explained all of the things that they're explaining as the guys are driving into the pit area, but we're still on the racetrack. They would have said all those things, but they were in a frenzy in race control because the 96 went off and they were like, what do we do like with this information? Right. And at Chaudier, you only have under green, you got 13 seconds. So under yellow flag conditions, you've only got maybe 23 seconds to make any type of conversation from point A to point B back to the same point on the racetrack. So everything's happening in a hurry. And I agree with you that, hey, if we stayed out on our own accord on the 27 team and we stayed out on that racetrack and, we missed the call, maybe they said it, hey, this is the official break. And then my driver was talking, and I didn't hear the scanner. That's not the case though. I've had enough conversations now where everybody was questioning, is this the break? When it was like fully 100% known that this was the official break, there were already cars in the pit area. And that's where my contention, my bone of contention is the fact that I didn't know. And if I don't know, you can't put me in a position where we have to make a judgment call without knowing the repercussions of that judgment call, So do I agree with the penalty? If we stayed out and they had said it, yes, I agree with the penalty because that's in turn our screw up. But that being said, I kind of put this in the same place as having a transponder that's maybe not working, where there has to be an exception made, because if your transponder is not working, you come down pit road, you get your transponder fixed and you get your spot back. The toughest part about this whole thing as a racer is with the open and closed pit road deal, the 96 gained nothing. The 27 gained nothing. The only thing that we did was lose through this whole thing. The field gained nothing and lost nothing from what the 27 and 96 did. So the whole thing to me is a little bit janky, just the way that it plays out. But it was definitely a terrible situation. Now, I will say this about that. I made a Facebook post yesterday, just kind of clearing the air because it really paints me as a spotter and as making a really bad call there. And that's the only reason why I got really uppity about the entire thing is, hey, man, you guys are all throwing me under the bus here. Not you particularly, but everybody. Even the team members at that time were like, Joe, what the heck is going on? And it's we're battling back and forth with it. But the overall grand scheme of things is that the call itself, the ruling, if we stayed on the racetrack and we made that decision, yes, I 100% agree with NASCAR. So everybody was put in a tough situation. The tough part is the 27 and the 96 were the only ones that paid the price. Unfortunately, even though we're teammates and I'm wearing Paille right now, the 96 made the ultimate penalty of coming down a closed pit road. And I think that's what spurred the entire confusion and kind of, made it difficult for everybody. So definitely a tough situation. Obviously, the results showed that it didn't matter, and Ranger drives like an animal when he is upset, and maybe that's what we needed, and that's where that extra speed came from the 27.
Joe, us as broadcasters, it kind of had everything you'd want where, in some of the comments I sent out, I said it was the perfect race because, you had the controversy, obviously not from your side, but from a fan side. We have controversy, we have penalties, you have drama at the halfway point, you have great racing to watch these guys battle their back, the two fastest cars on the day, battle their way through the entire field to come back and win and not, quote, get robbed by communication or officiating or race control or however you wanted to put it. It was a perfect day to watch the race. I'm sure you guys, your hearts and your stress level didn't feel that. Got to be rewarding to come back. My question for you though, Joe, is what's the fix? Is it more a concrete rule on brakes? Is it a better line of communication how do you avoid this situation from both sides? Obviously, Adam and I have made a career of trying to get both sides of the story. We would have liked to get NASCAR's perspective, but I mean, we're not here to throw anybody on the bus. We all love the
No.
sport. We're all a big part of this series. So how do we fix it going forward to make sure these things don't happen?
Yeah, 100%. And there's nothing more that I would want either, because I'm the same way. I NASCAR was put in a tough situation, and that it just ultimately that I didn't agree with, right? And that doesn't matter. It's there's nothing more that I would want than having NASCAR in a fourth panel here off to the right, so that we could hash it out together, right? And I think we're going to when we get to Newfoundland at the drivers' meeting. I'm going to bring that up, and I feel that our team will bring it up as well. Just to come up with a solid solution. It has worked in every other race that we've had. This is the first time where really there's been a mess up on, the brake situation. And so I'm sure that nothing much is going to come of it. It's going to continue to be the same way. But that being said, I had a great conversation with John Fletcher. And Fletcher's been in the sport forever. I've got so much respect for that man as a racer. And I had a conversation with him, and I'm not throwing him under the bus because we didn't say anything bad here, but he said, with who we are as a racing sanctioning body and with the people that they have in place, everybody's a creature of habit. And, that hit home when he said that, because really the race director could say, okay, everybody needs to run around the racetrack naked for one lap before the race starts. And if that's what it takes to enter the race, then that's what everybody's going to do, so if you leave room for interpretation, or if you leave room for anticipation, then race teams are going to, either exploit them or be hurt by them. So the more black and white, the better on the competition side. And perhaps it is directly at halfway. That would have never happened with us yesterday, because at the halfway mark, everybody pulls into the pits. The fact that it is left for interpretation, and it might be lap 127, it might be lap 124. The yellow flag is going to come out. It might come out for debris. It might come out for a car upside down. It might come out for the halfway break. That would have fixed yesterday's issue. And if I would have left my driver out there, then I would gladly accept that penalty at that point. So it is what it is. I've got to give credit where credit is due. Phil, the spotter for the number 84 of Larry Jackson, said he heard in his ear that they did mention that it was the brake, but he's the only one that I've talked to that has said that. So if it was myself that made the mistake, I apologize to my team. But everybody else that I've talked to, kind of backed me up. So it is what it is.
Winning makes up for a lot of shortcomings, Joe. I want to ask something completely different, and it's a two-part question. So work with me on this. I want you to talk about the chemistry between Caden Lapsevich, the crew chief, and Andrew Ranger, the driver. But I also want you to explain to me why Caden Lapsevich watched this race from turn 1, the opposite end of the racetrack from where the hauler in the pit area is.
Yeah, everybody was kind of put in a tough situation because they didn't have the room. So usually, Chaudier, you park off of turn 3 and 4. There's kind of like a platform up there. So all the teams could watch the races. Now, they couldn't see turn 3 usually from where they were in years past, but it's because we had more cars this time, right? So there's more cars on the racetrack. They couldn't fit all of the cars up there. I don't know if you recall in 2019, I guess the last time we were there, they had to wedge the cars in, and there wasn't even enough room to have a full length jack handle between the cars. And there was only 16 or 17 cars there. So yesterday with Saturday with 21 cars there, 22.
23.
23. There wouldn't have been enough room, for everybody up in that platform. So basically you pitted behind your truck. 80% of the teams out there couldn't even watch the race because you'd be way too far away if you had a catastrophic issue or if you had a flat tire. So we had people stationed in the pit area that were down below the hill that couldn't watch anything. They're just literally sitting there scanning. Of course, we had Flow TV, but it's a lap and a half behind, right? Flow Racing. So, Caden himself wanted to watch for adjustments that he figured that he would want to make on the car. My vantage point, of course, I was down towards turn 3. So it just made sense. If I seen the car doing anything in 3 and 4, he may as well be in 1 and 2, really focused in on that zone and that sector to watch the race, right? Because 90% of the time, a crew chief's not going to go and be the one to change the tire or fix the damage anyways. So he figured his best position would be, up in that grandstands. So, it just worked out that's where it was. And really, if you look down through the grandstands, basically every crew chief, I know Rick Verburn and Whitey, David White, sat together, down towards turn 3 in that pit area grandstand. There were, Robin was down there as well, from the 96. And it was just kind of sprinkled throughout the field, or the grandstands, wherever you could fit, because there was standing room only. Now, to talk about the chemistry between Andrew and Caden, amazing. I think that's the only way you can put it. It's very good. Now, I will say this about that. Andrew Ranger is a very easy guy to get along with, as long as you build a fast race car. But they had a lot of respect for each other on track. They had, raced each other lots in the years past when Caden won the championship. And, they have a very similar mentality of just, let's go win this race no matter what. Right. And to be honest with you, it's the whole team, because really the only people that have worked together on the 27 team are Andrew and I in the past. So really the entire team is new, from Nick and Dalen and Jeff and everybody else. Whitey is kind of overseeing everything. So he's not directly with the 27. He's in and out. So, the relationship between Caden and Andrew has gelled very quickly and very well. And I think it's only going to continue to flourish. Their dialogue is already on point, like their vocabulary. If Andrew's a 5 loose, Caden understands what that means. So they're not making over adjustments, and they're not making under adjustments either.
Joe, my question for you along the same lines, goes back to, a two-parter. You guys, how are the teams communicating together? Is it one big team, or are the two teams, got the same livery, but, your own entities? The other question I've got for you is, this season didn't start off great. The 96 showed a ton of speed, was the dominant car both races, didn't have the luck to put the punctuation at the end of the deal. Then you have, your team that was pretty good, not bad, but struggled in both the first 2 races and then came out to win the third. Kind of 2 different ends of the spectrum. So, on those 2 points, maybe speak to us.
Yeah, so we are not under the same roof. That being said, we are carrying the same livery. We want to win for GC Paye. The relationship between Marc Antoine and Andrew on the racetrack, I think you've seen it. And anybody who watches that race, they are both diehard competitors. And, there's not much give and take. We race very different cars. One is from White Motorsports. One is a Rob McCluskey car. So the notes aren't, seamless back and forth. Sure, if we ask a question or if they ask a question, we're going to help them out. If they needed anything under the sun, they know that they can come to us, and we know that we can go to them. Whether it be a part or a piece, or whether it be, a guy or a person, for the race team. That being said, that's kind of where it ends, as teammates. And I'm used to that dynamic. We're used to that dynamic, really, with David White and Ranger. It was that way with DJ Kennington as well. Those 2 teams, they might be prepared by the same guy when it was with DJ. When you got to the racetrack, the 27 had Pennzoil on the tailgate, or on the tail, and the 17 had Castrol. So when they dropped the green flag, the Castrol car wanted to beat the Pennzoil car every time, and vice versa. And it is no different with the Paille team. The 96 would have moved. I heard in the broadcast. I think that the 96 will move the 27 here for the win if he gets a chance, and I think that would have happened. And I'm not speaking out of turn. It's I think that Marc-Antoine wanted that win bad enough, and I think Andrew wanted that win bad enough that either one of them put in that situation would have done that. So it's talking with GC and talking with his entire executive team that was there. I mean, they had a pile of people at Chaudier, and speaking with them, they know that that's kind of the way that it is as well. And I think if you would ask Marc-Antoine, is he going to wreck Andrew Ranger? No, he's not. And is he going to do that intentionally? No, he's not. And if you ask the same question to Andrew Ranger, no, he's not. Because they are carrying the same livery, but they also wouldn't race anybody that way. So, definitely, it's kind of like the F1 vibe where Andrew wants to beat Marc-Antoine and Marc-Antoine wants to beat Andrew. I think GC likes that. I think him and his entire, team like that. And they just want to put trophies in the showroom so that their 21 sales guys can go sell trucks on Monday. And that's what they get excited about.
Right there you go. Joe, thank you. Thank you so much for the detailed responses. Good to chat with you. And I look forward to seeing you on the Rock.
Absolutely. Let's go kiss some cod and get screeched in. Are you screeched in yet?
I am not.
No. But you're going to be.
We'll check it out. See you there, Joe. Thanks for everything tonight.
See you, boys.
Catch Joe on Race Time Radio weekly with his dad, and they have a great show on Sirius XM as well.
We could have also said we'll see you at Peterborough on Saturday, where he'll be spotting for Josh Dottie, and we'll be calling the racing for G-Force TV.
Good to see the inside, Adam. The info about the GM Paille team, if you look at those cars on track and look at the crews walking around, you would swear they're out of the exact same stable, running all the exact same parts. That was a little tidbit that I squeezed out of there that I didn't expect to catch today.
Yeah, and
that does another show. Now we did have a couple of things we wanted to get into.
I wanted to be able to play that minute and 20-second video. Spencer, have we got 2 minutes remaining?
You might have to hold it for Saturday. Oh, he says we got it.
So let's. This is close to my heart, Clinton, as you know. Without any build-up to it, I think you said we could make it the Burger Barn video of the week. Carson Nagy speaks on a topic that's important to me. He speaks about mental health. So let's check this out.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to come on here and have a conversation about mental health. I know you've been constantly hearing about it the last couple of years, but it's so important we keep this conversation going. It's no longer a rare thing. I know previous generations you weren't allowed to feel this way, or you were messed up or whack. But it's so important that we keep this conversation going. This world is all messed up, and I know every single person has their own issues they're struggling with, including me. I know I get that constant feeling of being upset, every day, no matter what I'm doing, who I'm with. It's awful, and it takes a toll on my body. I get so anxious, I get sick to my stomach some days from the moment I wake up to the time I go to bed. And it's awful. It's really hard to go through, and I'm very fortunate to have a really good group of people I'm able to talk to and express how I'm feeling. And whenever I do, it takes such a relief off my chest. It just takes that weight I have built up here and on my head, and it just takes it off completely, and I finally can feel calm. And I'm so lucky I'm comfortable enough to talk about it, and thanks to that group of people, I feel comfortable enough to come on here and just talk about things, talk about how I'm feeling, and hopefully this helps people, get comfortable.
So Carson Nagy goes on. It's about a 5-minute video, Clinton, but I'm very proud of him for speaking up on a topic that's hard to speak up about. Of course, Carson Nagy, a super stock racer, drives the number 93. Check him out online, find his Facebook, find his Instagram, and I think what he really illustrates, it's not so much what you say, it's the fact that you're willing to say it, you're willing to share yourself and invite others to share what they're going through. So hats off, Carson. Good work.
Yeah, Carson will be featured on our broadcast this Saturday, live from Peterborough with the APC United Late Model Series, and then of course the Quick Super Stock Series. We're going to kick off, I believe, right around 6 o'clock this Saturday, live from Peterborough Speedway. Our first G-Force visit there live, which is super exciting. I think one thing you can say, Adam, and you and I have learned this about each other, is the best and easiest way probably to start talking about mental health is just be honest with your friends. Like Carson said, you and I have been able to develop a rapport with ourselves in the past couple of years where we can say, "Hey, man, I'm not having a good day," when we start our conversations, and we make a conscious effort to lift the other one up, not poke the fun, not be the kind of ass we tend to be with each other on a good day, because we like
Yeah.
to throw shade at each other. But no, and I appreciate that. I know you appreciate that line of, and we've tried to pass it on to the rest of our crew, Spencer, Greg. Hey guys, if you're having a bad day, that's what we're here for, to pick you up. So good on Carson. We're going to develop that story a bit more throughout the weekend, I'm sure. And I just want to say, Adam, I had a great time with you this weekend. You know, we get on each other's nerves a lot, but traveling through all the controversy, getting to do it and experience it with our good buddies, it was awesome. So I appreciate you. And
Yeah.
on that note, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Maryville
We get
Speedway's
to
up
go back to
next.
our roots. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, Clint. These weekends we get to go back to what we started doing, announcing. But before we had other jobs, before we had other responsibilities, it was just sharing the microphone and our passion for what we do. And it's been really enjoyable.
the one comment that stuck with me was when we were checking into the hotel Saturday night after the race, and we both whipped out our credit cards, and you said, "Look at us, all grown up with credit cards and shit." And I was like, "Yeah, because when we started 25 years ago, we couldn't rub two nickels together to get a hotel room." And
You're
twice
not
in one
wrong.
weekend. Thank you, everybody, for being with us, and we appreciate you. Join us live Friday on G-Force for our Weekend Speedway live at 7:30ish, and then we'll be live 6 o'clock Saturday. Thanks for everybody joining us. Thank you, Spencer, for all you do, and don't forget, open up to your buddies, because some of you might be having a bad day, and maybe you could fix it for them. Thanks for being with us.